What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Landing on the Plane. Things Auburn football from someone who really lived it. Man, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode. This is Landing on the Plains, and I am your host, Chandler, former linebacker, team captain, and NFL vet. And man, we got plenty to get to today, man. It's been a week since our last episode, and Auburn is in full swing of camp. It's a lot going on, some position battles, a lot of talk about Auburn, going to a hotel for camp, a lot of hoopla, surrounded around that. And so I'm going to get into that and why that's good for the team. And then lastly, just some guys that I think are really going to take off coming this season, with how they attack the offseason, with the reports coming out of camp so far through the first week. I'm going to give a couple of guys that I'm buying a lot of stock in. So let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into it, man. So first and foremost, it was a lot of, talk on social media, about Auburn going to a hotel for camp. And, this is significant for me because many colleges don't do this. And so when you're talking about the ability to really go somewhere and isolate yourself, like this is going to really pay dividends for us, as we continue to go down the line. Because right now, for these first 2 weeks of camp, like before we start school, like everything is all about ball. So these boys don't have time to do nothing else. Like I'm sure they brought the game systems for nighttime and things like that, but as far as like going to other places and stepping off of campus or getting distracted with outside entities outside of football, we've eliminated that. And so it's straight hotel and facility, and that's it. Took the keys and everything. And so I love it because it really replicates like being in camp in the NFL. And you like this is as close as it's going to get until these boys start school. And so like it's important because obviously all of these guys have roommates, and I believe they got some veteran guys hanging out or rooming with some younger guys. And again, amazing. Like be able to be mentors, show up for them in ways that other people and coaches, even coaches, can't. And so just to build that team camaraderie and togetherness, and it's going to go a long way. Like I don't think people understand like when you're lost inside of like a camp season, like when it's just 2, 3, 4 weeks straight of camp, like it's hard, bro. Like it's hot out there, your body's beat up, and then it's like you seeing the same people every single day. You hitting the same people every single day. Some of these boys is competing for certain jobs, every single day. And so to be locked up in that hotel, like to be going, like it's just all about ball, like all about ball. And so for me, for coach to come in his first year and like establish that this is what we're going to do. I believe he previously did it at USF as well, but for him to come in and say, you know what, like we gotta, maybe do something different. And for this to be, one of the things, I love it. I love it. And I know the players probably at first was, maybe not. I probably wouldn't have been rocking with it at first, from a college perspective. Like 99% of colleges don't do that. And so I believe I just saw reports today about Ohio State checking in somewhere. And so if it was a problem when Auburn did it, it should definitely be a problem when Ohio State do it, right? You know what I mean? So it's absolutely nothing wrong with it. This is what NFL teams do. Like you go away, you isolate yourself. It's all about ball. And so for coach to come in his first year and establish that kind of tradition, which is something I'm pretty sure we're going to continue to do, is big time. And so the guys start school a week from now. So for these first 2 weeks of camp, it's straight living in that hotel. You know what I mean? And straight to the facility and straight back. We're not going nowhere. It's no visitors. It's no none of that. And so I think that is really important as we kick this camp season off. And as we continue to go through practices, we'll continue to see guys separate themselves. And this is time for guys to really, like I said, eliminate those distractions, man, because like it can be easy to get caught up in that stuff in camp. Because it's like, man, you spend 10, 12 hours in a day worried about football. Like when you got a little small slither of free time, I done seen some folks get outside of their body. even during camp. So you'd be surprised. So in order for us to continue to go where we want to go and do what we want to do, it's gonna take things like this. And so I think it's big time. And then this first week of camp, like I think we're about 4 practices in now, 3, 4 practices in now. Like it's all about conditioning, like getting back in football shape. Because I don't care what nobody says, I don't care what nobody tells you. Nothing can prepare you for a full season, or nothing can prepare you for playing football like playing football. Like you can do all the running you want to do, you can do all the conditioning you want to do. I promise you, the second you get out there and you run full speed and you got that kind of weight leaning on you, blocking you, all of them sharp cuts, and you got to come right back and do it all over again and do it all over again with that helmet on, with them shoulder pads on. It's different. It's different. And so right now, I think the first couple of days was, it's establishing the culture. What's the standard going to be? Like finishing everything that we do, like not just finishing practice, but like finishing every single rep, like every single play. Like I love a clip that I saw like of Golesh coaching up one of the receivers, during the first week of camp, basically telling them like, yo, we can't waste a rep. Like that was lazy. We can't waste no rep. So every single rep we take, every single drill we do has value. It has value. And so we cannot waste no rep. Each one is precious and we got to treat it as such. And so, just to see that kind of stuff, knowing, from a player, like what the first week of camp is all about, it's about getting back into, your scheme, getting back into the swing of things, really keying in on communication. Can we master, the day one stuff, like the first couple of installs? Can we master that kind of stuff? Because that's the stuff we should have been, nailing during the summertime. And so it's about coming back in, getting reestablished, you know what I mean? Working your fundamentals and stacking day on top of day on top of day. And so that's what that first week is about. And you'll start to see guys separate themselves. Right now, you'll probably see a lot of fluctuation within the depth chart, guys getting some opportunities here, some guys getting opportunities there. And so nothing's like too concrete right now. But I think as we get into week 2 and this thing starts to continue to go along, some guys will, the cream always rises to the top at the end of the day. And so, man, like this first couple, of practices have been extremely big time. And I think it's now time to talk about some guys who have been standing out, man, just because I have mentioned some of these guys, quite a bit, but I don't really think I've bought enough stock in some of these guys. And so 2 players in particular that I really think are, it's time for me to, it's not a hope at this point. Like it's an expectation. Like for some of these guys to come in and like I'm expecting big things now. So first and foremost, I think the first guy is Omar Mapson. I mean, it's just like to hear coach talk about him in the way that he's come in, he's worked, and then like I can just put myself in his shoes. Because you're talking about a guy who was here last year, and then we brought in, 3 backs in the offseason. We brought in, Bryce Washington from Baylor. We brought in Tay Meadows, and we also brought in Nakai Davenport from USF. And so we're bringing in all these guys, and obviously Jeremiah Cobb is back. So if I'm him, I'm looking around like what's going on? And so for him to, have the kind of spring that he had, and then for him to back that up with a tremendous summer, and then to come out firing like he did that first week of camp, is paying dividends. And it's obvious, every single time, second back is up, he's RB2 right now. And I don't really foresee that changing. I think he's earning it, and he has earned it thus far, and he has to continue to earn it, obviously. But up until this point, hey, what can you say? He's earning it. And then I know his position, Coach Porter is the type of coach that rewards hard work. And so to know what kind of work Omar is putting in behind the scenes, and like to see it kind of coming to fruition, like that just gives us a strong, 1-2 punch with him and Jeremiah. And so hopefully we can get, another 1 or 2 of those backs to continue to come along, really be that third back as well. But you talk about a guy who's really impressing this coaching staff, who they say really loves Auburn. And so the fact that they keep saying he loves Auburn, like he really, like that means to me, like he really wanted to be there. He wants to be there. He wants to be great here. And so to know that they brought in, 3 backs from the transfer portal, our running back, our starting running back from last year is returning. Well, I'm going to stick around because I love this place. And now he's shot all the way up the depth chart to number 2. And so, man, you got to buy stock because I think he's just going to have a tremendous year and a breakout year. And so, first one I'm buying stock in is Omar Mapson, man. Got to. Secondly, it's got to be the freshman, true freshman, Deshaun Spencer. The receiver, still showing tremendous flashes. And I think the opportunity for him is really there. Working in that slot position, I think the outside receiver positions will be pretty well maintained when it comes, between Keyshawn Singleton and, all those other kind of guys. Like for him to be able to come in, and again, another guy who had an amazing spring. And so that's why spring matters. Like, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, spring is spring, right? Like, let's get out of here healthy. But like for some of these dudes, like you build momentum. And so you talk about a guy who came in, was able to come in the spring, who I think at the time of spring ball, he was still 17 years old. Like he just turned 18. And so he was able to come in and see like, yo, I can play, I can play with these guys. And not only can I play, with them, but I could play against anybody. And so I think he's come in, he's obviously got to be a tremendous learner. And I think Coach Golesh has echoed that. Like he's talked about his football IQ and how he's ahead of his time and as far as like his, attributes as a football player. And so for me, that screams maturity. So yes, he's a young guy, in age, but in this day and age of college football, like 2026, like freshmen can come in and play. And not only can they just come in and play, but they can be game changers. And so he's got a tremendous, background as far as high school ball goes, came from a great program, was really coached well. And so I think it's translating, and it's translating well. He's come in, and like I said, the opportunity in that slot position specifically, the opportunity is there. Christian Neptune is still in an orange non-contact jersey, and it seems like that will be, taken off of him soon. But, man, like the opportunity is there, and he sees an opportunity. He is absolutely sees an opportunity. And so those two will probably be my top 2. And to throw a third in there, man, just after, some of the talks coming out of camp from the first week, what I anticipate happening, some of the guys I like on the team, Elijah Melendez will definitely be number 3. Just because coming into camp, like the dude was absolutely jacked. Like he obviously, well, he was already gifted, but he really attacked the weight room, to say the least, in the summertime. And so you just talk about like a physical specimen, bro. Like that's hard to deal with, dude. And then teams already have to deal with Xavier, and have to game plan for him and dedicate real Thursday practices for blitz pickups for this man. That's what teams will have to do. They will have to dedicate entire practice periods every single week for blitz packages that we have, including Xavier Atkins, where he like different line, he aligns different places, wherever he's blitzing from, wherever he's line, they're going to ID him. They're going to walk through. I promise you, every single team we play will have practice periods dedicated to stopping 17 and all of the blitzes that we run, guaranteed. And so to know that we have a dude like 9, Elijah Melendez, sitting in there with that kind of strength, taking on blocks and, commanding the defense. And man, you talk about what could be. This could be one of the freakiest duos that we've seen in a really long time. And they're at this point, they're underrated. And it's starting to get a little disrespectful. And I hope they're seeing it, and I hope they're feeling that. Because another breakout star and could easily come from that room, and Bryce Diaz. You talk about another dude, man, I saw a picture of him lined up, man, doing a drill, and I was like, yo, who is that? Who is that? His body looks completely different. And I mean, just from the way things look right now, he's linebacker 3. And so if anything were to happen to Xavier or Elijah, knock on wood, I think, Bryce is the first one in. You always want to have 3 or 4 starting caliber linebackers anyway, because you don't want to just play 2 the entire game, the entire season. You need to have some rotation. And so it's going to be interesting to see how DJ uses all these weapons that he has, because he's got plenty in the secondary as well. And so to hear, guys like Eric Winter stepping up, starting to take command, some other guys starting to step up and take some command, like that's good to hear. That's good to hear. And that's what we need. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he uses, in particular, this linebacker room to get some of these guys on the field. Because I think it'll get to a certain point where I don't know if you can keep Bryce off the field, or you maybe have to have a package for him or something, or a defensive set where we have 3 linebackers on the field, versus certain formations and things like that. And so I think it'll be interesting. I think we have a unique ability that we can change it up from week to week, like with the personnel that we have, the ability of guys to kind of play multiple positions, especially on the back end with guys like Champ. Like Champ can play corner, safety, probably even nickel. I anticipate him being more so in that inside the hashes, whether it's, safety or maybe even nickel. But you talk about guys who can move around, even somebody like Aquan Fagans. I think he can move around as well as far as safety and nickel. Sylvester Smith as well. And so we've got some guys who can move around and play multiple positions back there. Like I said, got some depth and versatility in the linebacker room. You got the strength in Elijah Melendez. You got the speed and the ability to rush the passer and X. You got a young guy in Bryce. You still got a guy like DeMarcus Reddick. So hopefully he can continue to get back in the fold and emerge as a guy that we know he can be, because we've seen flashes from him. It's just about staying healthy. And so, yeah, man, it's some good things coming out of camp so far. First week, I really like where we are. I think this second week is going to be big time, because obviously this week is the week where intensity goes up, right? Like I said, the first week it's not that it's not important. Like guys are competing, and you know what I'm saying? It's all about ball. But like I said, it's more so guys getting back in football shape, setting the standard, how we move from drill to drill, how we run our drills, right? Like getting back to the fundamentals and the basics of football, like reestablishing ourselves. Like that's what the first week is about. It's a lot of ebbs and flows. It's a lot of movement in the depth chart, rotation wise, as far as guys getting reps and with what group they are with and stuff like that. Week 2, that's where we start to see some separation. Week 2 is a week of separation. And this week has to be big time for us because, like I said earlier, we are starting school next week. And so this is the last full week that we have before things get a little crazy. Guys start going back to school, class, and we got to start juggling a little more. This is the last week we have where it's all about ball. And it's the last week we have where we are in that hotel as well. And so, like I said, the intensity is going to rise. This is also the second week where guys started kind of get tired of seeing each other. We tired of hitting each other. And, you my boy, you my teammate. But at the end of the day, like week 2, week 3, we got beef. We do. We got beef. And I'm trying to knock your head off at the end of the day, even though you my boy. And so, yeah, it's starting to reach that stage where we're going to see that intensity ramp up times 10. Some positions going to start to become a lot more clear, right? And so, yeah, I think we have a scrimmage too at the end of this week. And after this first scrimmage, in camp, that's when coaches like to kind of hone in on the depth chart and stuff anyway. And so I think it'll be extremely important for us to attack this week. I think guys go out for practice today and start the week strong. I think we go 4 straight days leading up into that scrimmage. And so big time week, man, because like I said, when we start school next week, things get a little crazier and we got to juggle a lot more and really treat this thing like we're some pros. But exciting times, man. Football season is getting really close. It's exciting. I cannot wait until, we line up and get to play against somebody else, which is Baylor, first game. And so it's going to be here before we know it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like this episode, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you tune into the next one. And as always, War Eagle.